Welcome, everybody, to Birds of a Feather. This is your Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be talking about the state of the Baltimore Ravens as of February 20th, 2026. Obviously, the NFL season is over. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and obviously, congratulations to Mike Macdonald, by the way, former Ravens defensive coordinator, an absolute legend. Ravens fans will remember him forever. But he's obviously, paving his own path in Seattle, and he's doing his thing. But talking about the Ravens, we're going to be talking about the state of the Ravens currently and just where they stand going into free agency and the draft and all of this stuff coming up. So we're just going to be talking about a couple of updates that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks. It's been a little bit since I've gone over some Ravens news. Obviously, the offseason started, and the main focus for the Ravens was completing and filling out their coaching staff. Obviously, the John Harbaugh era is over in Baltimore. He was here for nearly 2 decades, but now it is officially the Jesse Minter era. We obviously talked about Jesse Minter being hired alongside Declan Doyle as the offensive coordinator and Anthony Weaver as the defensive coordinator, and also Anthony Levine, a former Raven, a Raven special team legend. He's actually going to be getting the opportunity to be the new special teams coordinator for the Ravens. So you got Anthony Levine as the special teams coordinator. You've got 29-year-old young offensive-minded prodigy and Declan Doyle as your offensive coordinator. And then you've also got Anthony Weaver, who was someone who was with the Ravens for a while. We drafted him. He used to be our D-line coach under Mike Macdonald. He ended up going to Miami. He was the defensive coordinator there for the past 2 seasons, and now he's coming back to Baltimore to be the defensive coordinator, not the defensive play caller. That's going to be Jesse Minter's job, but he's the new defensive coordinator. And then obviously Jesse Minter as the next head coach for the Ravens as we head into this next era of the Baltimore Ravens, and also just the next chapter of this Ravens franchise. Again, John Harbaugh was here for nearly 2 decades, and we're entering a new chapter of the Baltimore Ravens, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot to look forward to. And I think when you want to talk about the little decisions that get made at the end of games, like coming up in clutch time and holding a lead and all that stuff, I think that this new coaching staff is going to really be able to put that on full display, potentially even early on in this upcoming next season. Because again, throughout John Harbaugh's tenure, especially over the last 5 years, there has been a big struggle with the play calling and the decision making, and just the overall culture has seemed to kind of just deteriorate away from the Ravens and what they're known for. Like the play like a Raven mentality over the past few years has really just vanished, and it really vanished when Mike Macdonald left. Zach Orr has been the defensive coordinator the past couple of seasons. He actually has a job under Mike Macdonald in Seattle, so congrats to him. But again, myself and a ton of other Ravens fans, we're very excited for his departure, and incoming Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver are going to be leading this defense. Obviously, Jesse Minter as the head coach. He's also going to be he's going to be a play calling head coach as the head coach. He's going to be calling the defense, which is going to be a lot of fun. Him and Anthony Weaver are going to be able to collab on this defense, and there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to the coaching side of things with the Ravens, because not only do we have a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, and a new special teams coordinator, we also have a bunch of new assistant coaches as well. And just going over a quick picture here, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture on my screen. This is the Ravens coaching staff for the 2026-2027 season. Obviously, it looks a lot different than it has over the last few seasons. Obviously, Jesse Minter, head coach, Declan Doyle, offensive coordinator, Anthony Levine Sr. as the special teams coordinator, Anthony Weaver as the defensive coordinator, and then you have a bunch of new assistant coaches as well. You've got where is he? Dwayne Ledford as the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator. He had that job over in Atlanta. That was a very, very good pickup. We have Mike Mickens as the pass game coordinator and the secondary coordinator. He obviously worked very well, and it was a very beloved coach when he was in Notre Dame and with Cincinnati at the college level. So just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great things happening. Even Lou Esposito as a defensive line coach, he has been very much well known throughout his career. Just a lot of really, really great things going on when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. And there's a lot to look forward to. And this coaching staff looks amazing. It looks great. And again, the Ravens coaching staff was the main priority to start off this offseason, because when you go into an offseason, especially as a team that is pretty much rebuilding their entire coaching staff, there's lots of different check marks you've kind of got to go through to make sure that your offseason is complete. You have the Ravens coaching staff, which obviously that box has been checked off. That is completely done now. We are done with the coaching staff hirings. It is officially complete. And now we head into the next part of the offseason, which is going to be the NFL draft. And when I mean the NFL draft, I mean the NFL Combine, which obviously is tied directly to the NFL draft. So the NFL Combine is next week, I believe. So obviously we're going to see Jesse Minter over there, probably Anthony Weaver there as well, Declan Doyle there as well, and probably some other position group assistants over there as well, just scouting out some players. Again, the Ravens have a really good pick in this year's draft. Thanks to the Tyler Loop missed field goal, we do have the 14th pick in the draft. So very good spot to be picking at. In my opinion, this draft class isn't anything crazy or, out of the ordinary, or there's not really any players that really jump off the board to me. But there are some players, especially that are going to be available at 14, that can really make an impact from day one. And as we get closer and closer to draft season, like after the combine, and once we get into more of the interviews, and once we get into, closer and closer to the end of April date for the draft, as we get closer, we'll obviously talk more and more about the draft. Going back to last year, when this podcast was going on, I did do I think I did like 3 or 4 mock drafts in total, not only for the Ravens, but just in general, because I love the draft process. The draft is so cool to me. It's one of my favorite days of the year, is watching these guys get pretty much achieve their dreams live on TV. And it's a really cool thing. And I've always loved the draft so much. And it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to watch this year's, of course. And it's also going to be really fun to see the Ravens picking pretty high this season. They haven't picked this high since 2021, when obviously they drafted Kyle Hamilton. And if we can get someone anywhere near Kyle Hamilton level, this draft is going to be an absolute success. So as we get closer to draft season, we'll cover more of who I think the Ravens should be picking at 14, maybe a potential trade up. We'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of smoke that happens of rumors of who teams like and all that stuff. The draft season it's a whole process. But the next major part of free agency that the Ravens are going to be going into is obviously the free agency aspect of it, the adding of players, and obviously the franchise tags and everything that has to do with the Ravens offseason really does revolve around the free agency class. And for the Ravens, they have a lot of upcoming free agents this season. And if we go over here to SpotTrack right here, it's a great website where you can look at all the free agents and kind of what the market value for all of them is. If we go over here and look at the upcoming Ravens free agents for this free agency period of 2026, there's quite a few names who are very, very valuable to this team. I do want to quickly go over a couple of re-signs that the Ravens did end up doing over the past few months. We did end up re-signing Travis Jones, which was great to see. One of the more underrated D tackles in the league. And again, if Madubuike, ends up having to retire because of this neck injury, then making sure that we got Travis Jones was going to be a big plus for us. So Travis Jones is re-signed, and also Mark Andrews was re-signed by the Ravens as well. I've given my opinion on the Mark Andrews situation. I was very much against it. I didn't really understand why we went out and re-signed Mark Andrews. Maybe it was because we felt that Isaiah Likely was going to be worth a lot of money. Maybe that's the reason why. Who knows? I still think we ended up giving Mark Andrews too much money anyway. But again, I'm not in the front office, so I'm not going to be the one that makes all those decisions. But what I will say is that I was pretty disappointed in the fact that we re-signed Mark Andrews over Isaiah Likely. I've made that very, very clear. Isaiah Likely is the younger tight end. He is about to turn 26, while Mark Andrews is pretty much in his 30s. And Isaiah Likely is just the better tight end in my opinion. Even with age aside, I still would have chosen Isaiah Likely over Mark Andrews as the better player no matter what. Even though Mark Andrews obviously is a legendary Ravens player, he's the Ravens receiving leader, he's the receiving touchdowns leader, he's the receptions leader. He's a leader in so many historical aspects of the Ravens, and maybe that was a part of the reason why we ended up re-signing him. Like maybe that was a reason why we did it, was because of the historical value, and we want to make sure that he stays a Raven for life. Maybe that's why, and if so, I would have maybe liked to get him on a cheaper deal. But from an interview that we heard today from Isaiah Likely pretty much was saying that he wants to blossom somewhere, and he wants to really be a big part of a team, and he wants to be a big part of a team that scores a lot of points, and he wants to be a reason that an offense scores a lot of points, and he wants to really be someone that can help out a quarterback. And him saying that he wants to blossom somewhere that wants him, pretty much is confirming right there that he is not going to be coming back to the Ravens, which is very heartbreaking. Like, Isaiah Likely didn't really have the greatest season this year. Like, obviously, like, I'll admit that. He didn't really have the best year. He was dealing with, obviously, that foot injury that happened in the offseason, and it was this crazy thing. And he didn't really get going until, like, midway through the year anyway. And he didn't really have a great season, but again, losing him is going to suck. It's kind of the same feeling that I had whenever we lost Mike Macdonald. Saw what Mike Macdonald just did. We saw what he did. He just won a Super Bowl as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and losing Isaiah Likely is really going to sting, because I know he's going to go somewhere and he's going to ball out and he's going to flourish and he's going to be this great number one tight end, and everyone's going to be looking at the Ravens the same way they did with Mike Macdonald, and they're going to sit there and laugh at us, and they're going to say, why did they let this guy go? And it's going to suck. So I'm already preparing to lose Isaiah Likely. It really does suck, but obviously I wish the best for him. We're going to be stuck with Mark Andrews while Isaiah Likely goes out and dominates and does his thing. But the biggest free agent, and one of the biggest free agents in general that the Ravens have, one of the biggest free agents in general across the NFL, but by far the biggest free agent that the Ravens have, is center Tyler Linderbaum. He is a top 3 center in football. He is incredible. He has some underlying health issues or underlying injury issues that the Ravens are concerned about, because there was some reports that the Ravens were receiving contract rejections from Tyler Linderbaum's camp, because obviously the Ravens are putting in an effort to try and re-sign Tyler Linderbaum. I don't even think they're going to put in an effort to re-sign Isaiah Likely, but for Tyler Linderbaum, they're going to put in an effort to try and re-sign him. We'll see what ends up happening. I do really think that there is a very high chance that he leaves. I think there's a chance that he stays. He's made it clear multiple times that he loves playing in Baltimore. He's made it clear that he loves playing for Lamar Jackson, and he loves blocking for Lamar. And Lamar obviously has a really good connection with him as well. But when it comes to the Ravens and their money situation, we're not going to really know much about their money situation for this free agency until we get that Lamar Jackson extension, done and sealed. And we could get the Lamar Jackson extension in the next couple of days, hours, weeks, whenever. Like, this Lamar extension can come at any point at this point. You know what I mean? So, Tyler Linderbaum, again, he's an extremely important part of this team, and I would love to re-sign him. But much like a lot of these other free agents on this list here, we're really not going to know much about our money situation until we re-sign Lamar Jackson. And then once we re-sign Lamar, we can get that out of the way, and then we can kind of have an idea of what the money looks like and what we're able to give certain people and stuff like that. But Daniel Falele is on this list as well. He's, for some reason, second in market value. If they bring back Daniel Falele, I will be genuinely extremely concerned about this team. I think he's the worst player in football. I think a lot of Ravens fans agree with that statement. He was the worst offensive lineman in the NFL this year. In terms of starting offensive lineman, he was by far the worst. It was one of the worst offensive lineman performances I've ever seen throughout an entire season in my entire life. It's ridiculous. He was getting clowned left and right daily of how bad he looked. So if we re-sign Daniel Falele, I will be extremely disappointed. He can go follow John Harbaugh over to New York. But Draymond Jones is here listed as the third most valuable Raven in free agency. Now, Draymond Jones, I would love to bring him back. Obviously, we traded for him at the trade deadline. He's an edge rusher, and he came into Baltimore, and he did not play bad at all. He's about to turn. He's going to be 30 as we go into this upcoming NFL season. He's going to be in his low 30s, just turning 30. But he's still got some juice to him. He's never really been an excellent player. He's always kind of been an average edge rusher, but he's someone that is reliable. And this season, when he came to the Ravens, he had some big plays. Like, he had some very big games. Like, I remember looking back at that Jets game. He was incredible in that game. So, Draymond Jones, I would love to bring him back on a cheaper deal. He's not going to ask for too much money, so it would be very much affordable for the Ravens to bring back Draymond Jones. And we also traded for him at the trade deadline, so there obviously was a big reason why we wanted him on our team. So I would really like us to go out there and re-sign Draymond Jones. That would be really cool. Alohi Gilman is up for contract. I would be fine with him leaving. Again, Alohi Gilman didn't really provide much. Alohi Gilman was more of, his main use was being able to make Kyle Hamilton actually be like the X-factor defensive player that we love, because we had Alohi Gilman and Malachi Starks playing in the back, and then we would have Kyle Hamilton kind of playing up like a linebacker, or maybe even playing like an edge and just playing all over the field. Because again, Kyle Hamilton is a positionless football player, and Alohi Gilman really let him shine in that light. So, but I don't think we're going to re-sign Alohi Gilman. Again, we traded for him in that Odafe Owe trade. Odafe Owe under Jesse Minter last year, when he went to the Chargers, he looked incredible, and there's a potential reunion here, like not only coming back to Baltimore, but coming back to the defensive coordinator he just worked with in LA. So that's going to be an interesting situation. Kyle Van Noy, we'll see if we re-sign him. He's obviously going to be like 35 and a half as we go into this upcoming season. Tylan Wallace, sure. Ardarius Washington, I would like to get him back. Brent Urban, don't really care. Charlie Kolar is someone who I definitely want to bring back, and we probably can get him back on a cheaper deal. He is a very, very valuable tight end in the block game, and he's a reliable tight end catching the ball as well. And I think when we're going to lose out, we're going to lose out on Isaiah Likely. So I think bringing back Charlie Kolar is a must to be behind Mark Andrews, and also Kolar can do good in his own right, and he can have an increased role this season as well with no Isaiah Likely. DeAndre Hopkins, I would like to bring D-Hop back. He brought the vibes. I think he was a good locker room guy, a veteran leader, someone who could, teach a lot to Zay Flowers. And I would say Rashad Bateman, but the Rashad Bateman situation probably is something that we can go over in an entirely different episode, because it looks like Rashad Bateman doesn't want to be here, because he was kind of trash-talking the Ravens on his alternate account on some KD stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm not sure if Rashad Bateman's going to be here. I would love to maybe package him in a trade for someone. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason. There's some guys we could potentially trade for. Max Crosby's a name that gets floated around. Maybe even signing a Tyreek Hill could be interesting. Maybe trading for an A.J. Brown. Like Derrick Henry was kind of putting it out there into the world that he wants A.J. Brown to be a Raven. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. There's a ton of different options and different things that the Ravens can do this offseason when it comes to potentially signing new players, but also making sure they re-sign their main guys, and also having, trade talks open as well for a potential trade. So a lot of different things they can do. I think as of right now, the main priorities is re-signing Lamar Jackson, re-signing Tyler Linderbaum, and just making sure, and then also going out and potentially getting a good trade, either for like a receiver or an edge rusher. Because again, and I'm going to say the same thing when it comes to our draft pick, the trenches is the biggest issue with this team. The offensive line and the defensive line is the biggest issue. And for how bad the offensive line was last year for the Ravens, if they lose Tyler Linderbaum after he was one of the only bright spots of our offensive line. And if we lose him, it's going to make this offensive line even more of a disaster. So, again, we'll see what they end up doing. Lots of different things they can end up doing, but that's kind of just the state of the team right now. Some things that I think that they should focus on heading into the free agency period. Obviously, when we go closer to the draft, we'll talk about the draft and some guys that I would like there. But when it comes to free agency, re-signing Tyler Linderbaum is the number one priority, and the number one priority is re-signing Lamar Jackson, of course. But then the number two priority is getting Tyler Linderbaum. And, from there, I would really like re-signing Charlie Kohler, maybe a DeAndre Hopkins as well. Draymond Jones as well would be nice, but we'll see what they end up doing. But when it comes to the Ravens as a whole, obviously we love this team. There's been a lot of ups and downs with this team throughout the past few years. But with the way that this coaching staff has been assembled, with the optimism going into the new chapter and the new era of this Baltimore Ravens franchise with Jesse Minter as the head coach, there's a lot to look forward to. And I think from a coaching staff standpoint, I think that we nailed pretty much all the hires in the coaching staff. So shout out to EDC, shout out to Jesse Minter for recruiting some of these other guys. That was great. So now we head into the draft combine, then we head into the free agency period of signing players and trading players and letting players go, franchise tagging, whatever. So that's going to be a whole thing. And obviously, as the days go on, we're going to get more information on who potentially the Ravens want to maybe franchise tag, who they want to sign, who they maybe want to trade for. But I am expecting the Ravens to hopefully make a big move. I would like to get the Lamar Jackson extension done. I would like to re-sign Tyler Linderbaum. And if they can get those two things done and then potentially package a trade for a star edge rusher or maybe even a star receiver to pair alongside Zay Flowers, that would be a success for me. And obviously if they draft well, but the Ravens over the years have drafted pretty well, especially when it comes to the top end of the draft. We've drafted pretty much well. We've gotten like everyone I've wanted in the first round for the past 7 years. So we'll see who they want. There's a couple guys in my mind who I would really like to be there at 14. Malachi, like Mekhi Lemon is on my mind. Vivega Ione from Penn State, he's there. David Bailey, he's probably going to go a lot higher than 14, but if he falls, I would love to get him. Keldrick Falk, Peter Woods, Caleb Banks, those are just a couple names that I'd be okay with the Ravens picking at number 14. But again, when it comes to the draft, that's down the line. We're going to focus kind of right now on the Lamar extension and the upcoming free agency and what decisions and who we decide to let walk and all this stuff. So lots of different avenues and lots of different things that the Ravens can do, but that's kind of what the state of the Ravens team is right now. And the reason why I'm making a State of the Ravens video right now is because tomorrow is when spring training officially starts for the Baltimore Orioles. So we're going to have a lot of Orioles content getting pumped out over the next month or two, obviously with spring training. And then it's going to be getting pumped out pretty much every single day when we get into the MLB season because, again, we're going to do post-game recaps of every single Orioles game. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But when it comes to the Ravens free agency, and the Ravens videos in general on this channel, we're obviously going to cover everything Ravens related, everything big that happens with the Ravens. There's not really anything to go over with the coaching staff anymore because that is now officially complete. But we are going to be heading into a path and a journey of the offseason and free agency and the draft and all that stuff. So we're going to be covering the Ravens offseason while also covering the start of the Orioles season, including the spring training games that start tomorrow. So there's a lot to look forward to. Again, if you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify, make sure to click the link in the bio to check out the Twitter and the Instagram. I post all the time on Twitter, so make sure to check that out and give that a follow. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all for all the support. We've got a really big year coming up in 2026, and it's really getting kicked off now with the Orioles spring training tomorrow. Then we got the Ravens offseason. Everything is in full swing, and I want to make sure that I'm covering every single big event when it comes to Baltimore sports. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.